FSD version 12 is going wide, and I just got my download. It's installing now, so after the show, I will start testing it. Yes, Festivus came early, which is great, because I've got grievances to air, I am sure. So we're going to discuss this. I'm joined with Mark from The Tesla Life. He is part of a fantastic weekly podcast, and they do other things too, along with Patrick and Casey. Great dudes all around. By the way, I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. Interestingly, I went to that Oregon Electric Vehicle Association meeting and once again did not catch Patrick there.
I think Patrick's the ghost.
I am starting to believe he is Grok.
He's a great simulation though, because he shows up on our podcast every week on time.
Well, you must have paid for the premium subscription to Patrick. I'm doing the free trial. It's not as open to beta for that. And you can tell him I said so. So
I'm sure he will see it.
So we're talking version 11, version 12, and generally FSD beta. The first thing I want to throw out is there are a lot of people who despise all things Elon, all things Tesla, who are just convinced that this is just still another terrible thing and that none of the videos are proof of anything. And you can say that they're anecdotes. They're saying this is pure hype. This is hype boys, hype bros on YouTube sharing cherry-picked information. Now, this was on a post I made on Reddit where I use my channel name as my username, so I'd be very easy to look up and see most of my videos have not been terribly favorable to FSD generally. So would you take issue with someone saying that all of us who love Tesla are just hype bros who won't show the bad?
I think that there's a bit of honesty in that. I think what we've got here is a situation where FSD has been spotty if you're outside of certain metropolitan areas. We've got situations where FSD has had definite problems with traffic patterns in certain areas of the country, but other areas of the country, maybe ones that have been well traveled by engineers, it's been fine. There have been lots of videos showing flawless execution of certain intersections, but then you come out to another place that's not so often frequented, and all of a sudden FSD goes for a loop. Brian, you put a video in play last week, and I was watching it, and frankly, it scared me just watching the video. I could tell by the reaction of yourself and others in the car that this was not performing. Again, it wasn't 12. At that point, it was 11. But at that point, it was scaring you driving the car, and it was shaking your nerves, and it was shaking what you felt the car might do next. It was completely unhinged at one point.
Yeah, it was a little scary. And then, of course, it came to a red light and just decided this is where I live now. And it stayed in the left turn lane until it had turned green 2 more times. So that was an excitement. What I'm saying with this, the point you're raising is, I am all in on Tesla, but I'm not afraid to show the shortcomings. And the skeptics do not share that sort of honesty. They won't applaud the good with the bad, just the bad. And sometimes they just make up the bad.
Yeah, like you've got to show both sides of the coin. Like certainly there were positives in your video as it was driving along, but the problem with those positives, it was that you were shaken up a little bit with scenarios that were uncomfortable, and that shakes what you believe the car is going to do next. It becomes a question of, I'm not too trusting anymore just because of what happened 3 blocks previously. It acted in a way I wasn't expecting, and now even though it's acting correctly and it's performing the turns properly, it's performing the distances properly, now I come to a light, and as you mentioned, you sat through three red lights waiting for it to go. So the confidence measure is if the car's doing it properly all the time. It starts to build confidence. It starts to build more confidence. But once you get a little break in that chain, it's tough to go back to that previous position of confidence because you've already been proven that some of it's not there.
Some of it is not there. And again, we're still talking about version 11. Now, I have seen a number of people. Now, I don't generally follow people who are just pure hype. I find it to be less informative. I will still watch the terrible skeptical videos because I need to know what the other side is saying. It's an occupational hazard. But when it comes to people that we know and trust and have met in person, I have seen reports of it hitting curbs in version 12. The back tire drags against, hits a curb. I've seen a number of flat tires from it hitting curbs. I've seen a number of people saying, why is it going so slow? It makes no sense. And I don't have an answer to that. But to me, that shows the people who are the biggest advocates for this are capable of being honest.
Yeah. And that's what the viewers want to see. That's what I would want to see if I was on the outside, is I would want the real deal. I don't want hype. I don't want, I don't want a stock ad. I want to hear how it's actually performing in a certain circumstance, in a certain city, in a certain area of the country. I want to see how it's really working.
I value trust in the people that I follow, and I hope my viewers value trust as well. If somebody did a review of a Lamborghini and said, and also it's super easy to drive, I think people would find out that that was not a true statement. They are challenging. They can be challenging. They've gotten a lot better with smart traction control, but as soon as you turn it off, baby, you better know what you're doing, because that car it's a beast. I've never turned off traction control in an electric car. Although I have driven a Chevy Bolt in the rain, which is real close to turning off traction control in an EV, because its traction control was not great. But I will be reviewing new versus old Bolts sometime soon, and new versus old Leafs. I think that's an interesting and valuable topic to cover. On these things, I would say, regardless of which version you're using, if it's your first time or your 100th time, exercise caution. This is a supervised level 2 system. Keep your head on a swivel. Now, in my version 11 versus 12 video I published less than a week ago, we had an opportunity to take two Model Ys on the exact same loop twice back to back, one with version 11, one with version 12. And the version 12 drive was so boring that at one point, the driver hit the blinker and changed. Oh, right. It's still engaged. I just forgot that I wasn't driving. I forgot. My hands are on the wheel because he was still in the moment. And I thought it was pretty interesting to see. He's like, nope, it's still engaged. It just took that as a nudge.
That's true. I have heard from people that have moved on to version 12 that there's been a step difference. And that's great. Because, of course, we want to see it to a point where it is completely reliable. We want to build that confidence, and we would like to see that across all markets. If it doesn't happen in all markets, we want to know that too. But at this point, there seems to be a stepped improvement in version 12 from the people that I watch to see their reactions.
There were two videos I thought were very interesting. One was of it pulling up to a intersection and leaving a big gap for a car to merge out in front of it from a parking lot. No one would have hand-coded that in. It just knew that that's how humans drive. And the other one was a car was at the same kind of situation at a light, and a guy's trying to get out behind him, and the car pulled forward to let the car behind him. No engineer would have coded that in, certainly not this early, maybe 10 years after it's solved. But those are a third one I just thought of was somebody noticed when they got on this particular on-ramp with no cars around, it's 2 lanes to an on-ramp, right?
Yeah.
It split the lanes and didn't use a blinker, just like I would have. And just like no engineer would have coded it to do, because it knows that on an on-ramp like this with the lanes merging in 500 feet, it doesn't matter where I'm at, nobody's around. So those are some interesting perspectives.
Another one that I saw was the pothole avoidance. It
Oh,
was
I've
going
heard of
down
that.
a laneway, and it saw a pothole and made a quick turn of the wheel as it got close to the pothole to actually avoid it after noticing there was no one on either side of it, and it was fine to cross the center line to avoid the pothole.
Wow. Wow. So interestingly, I do have one more version 11 drive that I haven't published yet. And now I don't want to because it is out of date. So I need to remember to send a message to my editor saying, hold on that. Maybe we'll do the exact same drive and compare it. That might be more interesting and
Yeah,
valuable.
that would be interesting to see the differences on that same drive.
It would be. So that's a better idea. Hold off. I think I don't need to message him. I think I just told him. So thank you, Rosh. I appreciate your hard work. You do great work, my friend. It's fun. It's fun. So on FSD, what do you think is more important to Tesla right now? Increasing the take rate for revenue's sake, or getting more people to use it so they've got more data on which to train?
I think it's getting more people to use it, but it's not to train. I believe that's going to push word of mouth to push sales. I think
Oh,
I think a lot of people have maybe put FSD in their back pocket and have stopped using it because of some issues that they've seen with the previous generation versions. And I think at this point, Tesla is trying to push, you need to take a test drive. We're going to service your vehicle. We'd like you to take a test drive just to see how good it is now. You're buying a new car. We'd like you to see how good it is now. This is something new that they're pushing, and they're pushing hard. And I think it's because they're trying to reintroduce it to the public after some of the public have had questionable issues with it.
experiences.
Yeah.
Like you said, it only takes one or two of these terrifying instances to lose confidence
Like
in the
how many
system.
times, Brian, have you seen the video where someone has done the summon to pull the car to you from the parking lot, and someone scratched another car or dinged it as it was leaving a parking spot? At that point, I said to myself, I'm not going to use this in a parking lot. I'm just not.
Right.
Why would I go through the possibility of my car having an accident when I'm not in it, but I am still responsible for it? It lost all favor in my head. I just, like I said, I put it in my back pocket and wouldn't touch it.
One of the people in our Northwest group, Stargirl, Ash, was using the self-parking feature, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, and it backed into the charger, caused tremendous damage. And I've never had access to Auto Park or Summon, so I can't speak to those. Maybe I've got them today. I will find out later, and then air my grievances because it's Festivus.
But it's certainly going to put a question mark in your head just watching some of this stuff. And I think that's what Tesla is trying to do with this reintroduction to the public, is that, hey, we've got this solved. You can now do it reliably and it will build confidence. So it'll be interesting to see how this campaign works.
I do want to give a big shout out to a great channel, AIDRIVR. It's on X as at AIDRIVR. There's no E in driver. You've probably been seeing visualizations from his channel overlaid on this. He has the best visualizations. He puts an Insta 360 on the back of his car, so you get a video game style view of the car with an overlay of the actual screen. It's magnificent. And if you want to see the latest in FSD beta testing, it is my go-to channel in that regard. Mark, are we forgetting anything?
I think we should ask what the viewers out there remember that we haven't remembered. What's important to you?
Yeah, that's when I ask, what did we miss? What did we misunderstand? I actually had a viewer tell me that that's something he now says at work meetings. Because, I mean, it's a good way to wrap it up, I guess.
That's
but
right. Yeah.
What I'd want to know in the comments is what would you pay for it? And that's actually something we can talk about real quick, is what would you pay for it? I've seen a lot of suggestions on X some people saying, oh, make it per mile. I disagree with a per mile use, because that would incentivize people to not use it. They're the same people who will hypermile will say, I can save 15 pennies a mile, I'm going to do it. So I don't think that's a good solution. We want to incentivize the safest behavior. So what would it be? What do you think it would be?
Man, it's a touchy amount for me. Like currently as it sits, it's overpriced in my mind at this point. But again, I'm looking at version 11. That's all I've had access to this point. So if it becomes completely autonomous and there's no issues with it, then I can see the current price point being fine. And if I'm not fine with it, you know what? Going to a monthly fee is something else that could work. Being able to turn on and off the subscription would be great for many people. And but of course, I think that Tesla's plan is once this thing becomes flawless, the price is going to go through the roof.
I don't know how far down the road flawless is. I had a couple ideas. So first of all, 200 a month is too much for most buyers. For a lot of buyers, their previous car might have had a payment of 200. So 200 in addition to a car payment is a lot of money. Now, if you cut it in half, if you make it 100, then all of a sudden it's a 10-year break even. And Tesla would say, too low. We don't want that. No one will buy it. But the car is going to last 10 years. You're coming out ahead. You're increasing take rates. That's another idea. One that I liked was, why don't you drop the subscription to $129? Tell us it's going up in the future, but as long as you remain subscribed, you keep the $129, and you can cancel. But when you come back, now it's $149, $179, and the difference is when you make it a subscription, you get to book all that revenue at the end of the month. You don't have to defer it the way you do with the sale of it, because you're not selling FSD. You're leasing a 1-month trial of FSD beta in its current state. And I think that would provide a secondary benefit to Tesla. And the math I ran is, if there's about 1 million cars that could get this in the US where it's available, might be a higher number now that we're including Canada, it would be every 1% that the take rate is at 200 a month is an extra $2 million a month straight to the bottom line.
Yeah.
That's for each 1% that picks it up. Asking for 1, 2, even 3% is not a crazy ask. This could turn into some pretty serious money pretty quickly.
It'd be real interesting to see what the actual take rate has been to this point. I know Tesla's not going to share that with us, but that definitely would shine some light. And of course, Tesla, with these new incentives they're rolling out, is trying to push that 1 or 2% extra. And it'll be interesting to see if they're going to be successful with it.
Another pricing model I thought of was, okay, Tesla, what is your ideal take rate? Is it 20%, 30%? Just increase the price of every car sold by 30% of 12,000 and give everyone the car. I don't like safety being behind a paywall. And if they genuinely believe, as I do, that this is a safer system, it feels wrong to not get it in as many hands as possible. But I can see why people would disagree with me. Some people don't want it at any price. Take out the hardware even. I don't want that. Make my car even cheaper still. But the times they are a-changing, and the hardware comes with the car.
Yeah, absolutely. This change is coming whether you want it or not.
Well, I didn't sign up to be a volunteer guinea pig in your experiment on my public streets. Look, buddy, the cars are safer. I didn't sign up for your distracted ass to kill my dog or whatever. You know, we are not well equipped for this. All of human history, and in the last 2-3 generations we started driving, we have not had enough time to weed out the gene pool of bad drivers. And I hope we don't have to. But some people on the road around me, they might need to go. I'm just saying. I'm not saying, but I am saying. So what did
You're
we miss?
sorry, but you're not sorry.
I'll kill you. I'm just kidding, but I'm not. Am I? No, I'm a very patient driver. I'm the guy in the back seat telling the driver to calm down. We're not in any hurry. Sorry to call you out like that, Jeff. Anyway, he's a great guy. He just spent a lot of his career driving in the Bay Area, and he has an understandable distaste for other drivers. Understandable. If I had to drive in that professionally, no. So I think that's it. What did we miss? What did we misunderstand? What are your thoughts? How would you want to see this rolled out or monetized? And if you have version 12 or 11, tell me what you think, because I'm curious. I'm very curious. So everybody else, like, subscribe, smack the thummy thing in either direction. It's decorative. Maybe head over to the Tesla Life. They've got a great show. As you know, I enjoy it, and I enjoy hanging out. So, Mark, I want to thank you for your time. And everybody else, like, subscribe, and stay tuned, stay juicy. And I can't wait to hear from you clever robots after I have experienced version 12 on my own car.